Hey everybody, I'm making this video message to tell you don't go back. Don't go back. What am I referring to when I tell you all don't go back? I am referring to people, places, and things that God may have brought you from. Many of you, for various reasons, were pulled out of some situations that you no longer were supposed to be in. You didn't have the strength to leave on your own. You did not know how to leave the situations, or you specifically prayed, begged, or even asked God to take you out of the situation. Whatever the case was, I'm telling you all, don't go back. Now, for some of you, you were in a particular country, you were in a particular neighborhood, you were in a particular city or state, and you were going through some things when you were in that particular location, and God brought you out of it. And there were some of you all, you were dealing with certain friends, or you were around certain people. It could have been an ex or whoever, and God removed you away from those people because it was not bringing out the best in you. Then there were some of you all, there were some things going on, and because of it breaking you down, you kept taking losses, either financially, mentally, spiritually, or it was causing you to not advance. You were stagnated. God brought you out of it. And when God is bringing you out of a situation, you may not like the way you were brought out of it. Some of you all, God had to literally snatch you out of some situations. Some of you all, He delivered you out of some situations. And again, some of you all went to God and you asked Him to take you out of situations. And in the midst of God taking you out of these situations, removing you from places, removing you and taking you away from things, you lost some things. This may not resonate with a lot of you, but some of you all, you had to leave some things behind. You may have had to leave shoes behind, clothes behind, little trinkets that you bought or other people bought for you. I'm sorry. You had to leave those things behind. You may have had to even leave money behind, agreements behind, and people that you loved and adored and that you saw a future with. You may have had to leave them behind. And one thing about God, when God puts His hand in something and He is doing a work, it is not always going to go the way you feel it should go. You're not always going to like the way it happens. You're not always going to know why it happened the way that it did. And it's not always going to be your will and just what you want. And because of the stubbornness of some people, God will not easily remove you from every situation. He will sometimes have to snatch you out, and you have to be brought out kicking, screaming, crying, and even you being angry. Whatever the case was, however it went down, whenever it went down, you just need to know, don't go back. If some of you all go back to the very things you prayed and asked God to take you from, or you go back to the things God brought you out of, it could possibly not only compromise your safety, but it could cause you to lose your very life. People, do not play with the presence of God. Do not play with what you ask God to do. Do not try to go back and undo. Check to see Or listen to the people that God removed you from when they begin to sell you a dream or swear that they would do right by you if you give them another chance. This video message is to let you all know that the severity of God removing you from a situation to not only save and protect you, but to help you get to a destination where you would heal, where you would grow and evolve, and where you ultimately would get the blessings He has stored up for you. It's critical. The Bible tells us that we ask things amiss. What does the word amiss mean? Amiss just means inappropriate or out of place. Some of you all have been in a position where you played with the presence of God and you asked Him to do something, but it was inappropriate or it was out of place. And let me break that down for a minute. When you ask God to do something for you, you have to have a pure heart, a pure agenda, and a pure motive for why you are asking Him to do what it is you need Him to do or you want Him to do. Now, when we have been misjudged, when we have been mistreated, when we have been overlooked, when we are viewed as the oddball out or the underdog, we want people to feel the pain that they have caused us and inflicted on us. We also want people to come to the realization that they played with us and that we were the wrong one to mess with. And sometimes this is what leads many of you to ask God to do something amiss, because you want people to realize in your absence that they did you wrong and that they made a mistake mistreating you. Now, don't spend a lot of time there with that. I just wanted to make you all aware of possibly what could be going on in your heart. Just understand that when you need God to move, you can no longer be concerned about what is going to go on with the people you left behind, how they are going to feel, or what's going to go down with them. All you need to focus on is God is going to bring you out. And this is why it is so critical that when God does bring you out, or when you ask Him to bring you out, you don't go back. Because if you go back, if your life is still there, you may still be in a worse off condition the second time around than you were the first time. You may lose double or triple the second time around if you go back than you did the first time. And so what I'm saying to you all is that when you are brought out of something, no matter how it looked, no matter the inconveniences you had to deal with, no matter who you had to leave behind, I don't care if it was your family. Yes, I'm saying that with boldness. It does not matter. If it was in the will of God, and if God told you, don't go back, don't look back, do not disobey God. When you go back to a location, to a person, or to people, or to a place and things, you will possibly destroy everything that God has planned for you ahead, if you don't outright completely destroy yourself. And if God's grace and mercy is surrounding you and you are still living and breathing, your life still may not be in the best condition if He even spares your life. This is serious, my brothers and sisters, because you cannot get ahead. You cannot grow. You cannot evolve. You can never fully develop and become the man or woman of God that He wants you to truly be if you are stuck with people, places, and things that are not helping you to grow. Now, to comfort you, let me throw this out here. Let me just tell you this. There are some relationships God is going to restore in your life. There are some people God would allow to come back to you, and he would work on that relationship. There are some people God would set up for you to go back and reconcile to them. But you better be certain that that is a move of God. You better be certain that that is the plan of God. You better make sure that it's a God move and not just your move. It's serious out here, people. It is serious. Some of you all were crying and praying, waiting, and even begging God to take you out of situations. And what do? What do so many of you do? You get weak. You allow yourself to be manipulated. You allow a dream to be sold to you. You allow a lie to be told to you. You are allowing money, gifts, cards, glittery, shiny things, however that looks for you, to lure you back to the very pit that God brought you from. That is why in this video message, I am telling all of you all with an urgency, do not go back. Do not get into the presence of God and ask him things amiss. Have a pure heart and a pure agenda and motive, and have a plan of action as to what you want to do after God has removed you from a particular place. Whatever or whoever you had to leave behind, you better know that it can be replaced. You may have had to leave your favorite shoes behind. You may have had to leave some money behind. You may have had to leave some furniture. You may have had to leave some diamonds and some crystals and some couches or various different things. You may have lost it in the midst of God pulling, delivering, and snatching you out of some things. But baby, you better not go back. Every single material possession that you had, you can get it back again. And what God does is when he brings it back around to you, it would be even better than what you had the first time. Don't play with God's time. Don't play with God's presence. Don't play with your life. If you know that you did not have the strength and the power to leave people in some situations, you didn't know how you were going to come out. Because I'm going to keep it real with you. Sometimes you can be in a place in your life where you have no idea. You've gotten that hopeless. You've gotten that depressed. You have gotten so negative about that particular situation that you've been battling and fighting in. You have no clue how you are going to come out that situation. You will just say, if God doesn't do this, if God doesn't pull me out, I'm not getting pulled out of it. And when you are comfortable and when you are familiar with people, places, and things, sometimes you rest in that. And you just believe that is going to be your permanent destination and your final destination. And whatever comes with that, you accept it. This is why being snatched out, you didn't understand that move of God. This is why when you got delivered out, you came late to the party and you thinking like, okay, I'm confused. It didn't go down the way that I felt it should go down. I wanted to give those people or that job or that neighbor, or I wanted to give my ex a piece of my mind. But you know what? Sometimes when God is snatching you out, pulling you out, and delivering you out, you are not always going to be able to speak and say certain things that you wanted to say. And you guys got to sit with that. You got to be okay with that. Sometimes things have to be left unsaid, because even speaking a few words, it can make your safety more compromised. It can put you in a situation where you get physically harmed. God knows what he's doing. But you know what? The bottom line here is, how much do you trust God? I have learned on this walk with God, it becomes very interesting because when I pray and I ask God to do something in particular for me, sometimes it never goes the way that I feel personally it should go. Sometimes it actually goes a lot better than what I expected. Sometimes I've been in a place where I sit back and I chuckle at how God has done certain things in my life. So people of God, in this video message, I'm telling you, don't go back. Don't go back. It doesn't matter how you feel. You cannot always be led by your feelings. That's why I told you all in the video message yesterday, watch your unstable emotions. Because when you are battling your heart and your flesh and your mind, and all three of those things are working simultaneously, you get confused, you get tripped up. And when someone has your heart, when a place has your whole heart, and when things have your heart, it is easily to be beset by those things. It is easy to be lured back into what God brought you out of. So if you are contemplating going back to that ex, if you are contemplating going back to that job, if you are contemplating going back to that particular location, because where you are now, you are unsure about what the turnout is going to be. You don't feel comfortable. You are seeing new faces. It is no longer familiar territory. You are looking for confirmation. This is it. Congratulations if you were snatched out. Congratulations if you were delivered out. Congratulations if God guided you and gave you instructions on how to pack up and leave. And if he did not give you the grace and the time to pack up and take some things with you that you wanted or that you needed, just know that what you lost, it can be replaced. Some of you all, certain things will not be replaced because God is transforming you into a new man or a new woman. And so who you were in the last season, what you accepted in the last season, even how you looked in the last season, that is no longer who you are going to be in this new place, season, and time. When God is bringing you out, or he brought you out of a situation, sometimes how you look, how you walk, how you talk, how you think, how you speak, how you treat people, it is totally different. That's what I love about God. When he touches you and he touches a situation, instead of him initially doing the one thing that you asked him for, baby, he'll mess around and do 10 or 20 things at one time, in one moment, in one move. That's the video message. However you feel, whatever you thinking, whoever that is texting your phone and they begging you to come back and promising you, if God is not telling you, okay, I'll allow you to go back, but not now, you better be in the face of God, and you all better get the confirmation from God that the people you left behind or the things you left behind, it's okay for you to get some things, or it's okay for things to be brought to you. Sometimes someone, they know how precious certain things were to you, and if they know where you are now, they will use those things in order to keep a connection to you. They will use those things in order to come back into your life. So that's what you all really, really need to be thinking about. Things are made new when God gets involved. You are made new. Some of you all, it went over your head. You missed it. Everything got broken down and torn down that God snatched you out of because it will no longer be a part of who you are. You got to accept that. You got to walk in the newness, even though it did not go the way you wanted it to go. Again, when God brings you out, don't get mad at him. When you ask God to do something, don't make a mockery of God. Don't go back and try to undo it. Don't keep going back. Don't keep going back. Move forward. And the people he wants to reconcile you to, the things that he wants you to gather up, if that's what he's going to do, let God do it. Be patient. Wait on him. So that's the video message. Well, guys, I know it's a sad time for you, but I gotta go. The Lord willing, I will be back with another video message. If any one of you have been offended by anything I spoke about in this video message, I'm not worried, I'm not concerned, because I know you will forgive me in the morning.